everyone from Chelsea Fan TV. My name is Alex. Welcome back to another video with the channel. It is official, as Fabrizio Romano likes to say. Here we go. Although I'll be honest with you, that kind of enthusiasm isn't really going through me at the moment. I'm still trying to process the fact that we were even looking at championship managers in the first place, let alone recruiting one. But here we are, Chelsea FC, Conference League FC, Bottle Job FC in the finals, 7-year contract FC, Pep Guardiola B-Tech FC. That's a little bit how I feel, to be honest with you guys. I've got nothing against Enzo Maresca, but I can't say I'm delighted. I think if anyone is delighted, then I'm struggling. I'm struggling a little bit. Listen, we know Enzo Maresca is a good manager. I'm not doubting that. But he's only been a manager for a season and a half. He did a couple of games at Parma, I think 14 games, and got the Leicester job. He's managed to get them promoted straight away. But they had by far the biggest budget in the league, by far the best squad in the league. And it's just a different ball game at Chelsea. It's a different ball game. And you cannot expect to just walk in as a championship level manager and perform at a club like Chelsea. But listen, let's have a little backdrop on Enzo Maresca. I'm not going to just completely slate him the whole video. Let's try and get to know him a little bit. So he is an Italian manager. He's 44 years of age. He was previously the assistant to Pep Guardiola at Man City, as well as managing the under-21s, where he worked with Joe Shields. He knows Joe Shields quite well. He also worked directly with Romeo Lavia and Cole Palmer, two players in the squad, one of which is our best player. So straight off the back, I would say that it would be very strange if Enzo Maresca didn't know how to use Cole Palmer or didn't have a plan for Cole Palmer. And obviously Lavia hasn't really featured much at all in a Chelsea shirt, so it's very difficult to judge him full stop. But yeah, I mean, this is a manager who knows very well what he wants to do. He's a very structured manager, and a little bit different to Pochettino, where players were given freedom. They were allowed to go into spaces and essentially express themselves a little bit, for want of a better term. Maresca is slightly different in that sense. He is very, very structured. He loves possession. If you guys don't remember a few years back, Maurizio Sarri, the chain smoker, he was very, very similar to Maresca. The only difference is he's about 20 years older. And so now we have a slightly younger, maybe more energetic version of what we had in 2018. But not to say that there isn't good things. There are some similarities to what we have seen this season. Maresca is a big fan of playing with an inverted fullback. However, it's not on the left like we did with Cucurella. It would be on the right. So you're looking at Gusto and Reece James going into the midfield. And that helps deal with counter-attacks and control the midfield as well. He explained that in one of his coaching videos on, I think, the Coach's Voice. So if you haven't already checked that video out, it's a really good way to understand how Enzo Maresca thinks and what kind of tactics he tries to implement, at least at Leicester, which will most probably be carried out in this Chelsea role as well. Change of style, according to Leicester fans, was evident from the first game. It wasn't a case of, needing a few months or a few weeks to get into the groove. Straight away, the players will be playing out from the back, will be passing the ball much more than what we've seen under Mauricio Pochettino. And this possession-orientated style of play is going to be clear from the get-go. There is not going to be long balls from Petrovic. There's no hoofball. It is very much a case of, listen, if we're going to keep the ball in our own half, we would rather keep it in our own half rather than give it to you. And that's what we saw under Maurizio Sarri. That divided the fan base. So it would be interesting to see if that's the same with Enzo Maresca. Although it's clear, as any manager would, he will need time when he comes in. The wingers will be given the freedom to go wide based on what he's seen at Leicester and the number 8's encouraged to go into the box. Obviously, Casady was on loan at Leicester at the beginning of the season, and he did very, very well under Maresca before we called him back in January. And I would expect the same from some of the other midfielders, being allowed to go forward, have the freedom. But I don't know exactly what formation we're looking at. It could be something similar. It could be the 4-2-3-1. It could be 4-3-3. And yeah, I think that when Maresca finds his system, he is very, very stubborn. He's not a manager who's looking to change things regularly. He wants to keep his style, implement his style, and he wants teams to think about how they can break us down. Not like a lot of fans criticise Pochettino for overthinking lineups and tactically doing very strange things. And I admit that as well. I remember when we played Ben Chilwell at left back against West Ham. There's other games where we did some very strange things. Enzo Fernandez on the left wing at Brentford, and games like that. So sometimes you just need to simplify things, and keeping a structure and having a manager who's very rigid and not willing to bend in order to maybe what some players want. It's my way or the highway. So, yeah, I mean, look, I think it's good to have your own style. The whole squad could get used to it. And look, if you do have a long-term coach, we see it at Man City, right? It goes the whole way through the under-21s, the under-17s, all the way down to the youth levels. But I can't be talking about Maresca like he's going to stay at Chelsea for 6 years. Hang on a second. Did somebody just say we gave Enzo Maresca a 5-year contract with a year extension? Fucking hell. I mean, is this not Graham Potter 2.0 over again? Except, hang on a second, at least Graham Potter has managed in the Premier League. I mean, Jesus Christ. Talk about taking risks. Honestly, if Lawrence Stewart and Paul Winstanley have got this wrong, you are finished. You are done. But listen, you've made the decision, and you didn't go with the Zerbi who Egbali wanted. So listen, to that sense, I guess I'm happy, because at least the board were allowed to do their job. I'm sure there was still interference, but the decision has turned out to be an underwhelming candidate. But out of the 4 we looked at, with Thomas Frank, Kieran McKenna, Roberto De Zerbi, and I think Maresca is the best suited manager for our squad and the system that we are looking to play. If you want to get the best out of Enzo Fernandez, I think Maresca will be very, very good. And that almost explains why look, you can't justify selling Gallagher. But because Pochettino's going and Maresca's coming in, I can't see Gallagher fitting into that system, if I'm totally honest. He's not going to be sitting deep, he's not going to be playing out, and he's certainly not a player very good at breaking down low blocks. So for me, Gallagher, he's not going to last in this system. And then you've got Chalobah as well. He's going to be sold. Not the greatest ball-playing centre-back in the world, but more than capable of doing what I think needs to be done at Premier League level. Look, we'll have to wait and see what happens with that side. In terms of defensively, Maresca concedes all of his goals on the transition, right, on the counter. But Leicester had very, very slow centre-backs. So we've got a little bit more pace with Fofana, Colwell, Chalobah, if he's still in the squad, Disasi, Badiashile. They are young players. I would expect them to be able to deal with that in the Premier League. I mean, a counter-attack is something that everyone tries to do against your Man Cities, your Liverpools, and it's happened to us in the past as well. But we've noticed in the past that low blocks has been a weakness for Chelsea. So maybe if Maresca comes in, he can find a way to try and deal with that, because when you are a top quality team, you've got your teams that are going to get promoted, like Ipswich and Southampton, etc. They're not going to be looking to play tiki-taka. They're going to look to take their chances on the break and ultimately catch you out. So we need to set up well there. His man management is quite good. Harry Winks said he's one of the best tacticians he's ever seen. Sky Sports, to quote them, one of their sources said that when asked about his knowledge on the Chelsea squad, Enzo Maresca was almost encyclopedic. He knew so much, not just about the starting 11 and the big players, but also the players that we have in the youth team and out on loan as well. And I think that's only a good sign. It shows that he cares about or is just knowledgeable enough to understand multiple parts of the club. Because if you look at your Contes, your Mourinhos, etc., maybe not the best in terms of bringing out the youth, but you know you get results instantaneously. Which brings me to my next point. What is the target here, people? Because from what I've seen online, Pies came out with a source. Apparently, the minimum is top 4 and winning the Club World Cup. That's what's come out that I've seen. Now, I don't know why they brought out the Club World Cup. Why not set out some domestic targets in terms of the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup? But hell, who knows? Who knows? We've got the Conference League as well, which should be an absolute no-brainer. If Maresca can win the Conference League, there might be some hope. If he can't win the Conference League with Chelsea, then I'm struggling to see how this club is moving in a positive direction. Look, I think that this is the best appointment out of what we could have selected, but I'm still not happy. I will support Maresca. I will not be criticising him throughout the season. I want to see what he can do. I want to see what players he wants to build this side around. And ultimately, I think he's going to be working hand in hand with the club and the hierarchy. He's a coach who doesn't really care about having too much of a say in terms of transfer policy. It's very much a case of leave me alone, let me coach. I am a head coach, not a manager, and that is what Chelsea are looking for, and they've found it ultimately. So look, we'll have to see what happens. I think we will have to expect some games like what we saw under Maurizio Sarri, where it's very slow football at times, players struggling to break through the lines, and just a lot of passes without much meaning. But when this kind of system clicks, there's no doubt that it's beautiful football to watch. But my concern is I don't really care about beautiful football without results. And I would rather have Diego Simeone parking the bus and winning me league titles rather than having Maresca playing tiki-taka and, winning goal of the season for the most beautiful goal or whatever it is. I don't really care. But who knows? It could either be a supreme success or an absolute failure, in which case the pressure is going to be upstairs because they're the ones who have appointed this guy after saying that Mauricio Pochettino fit the squad in every way. And now it's Maresca who's come from the Championship. So very risky move for Chelsea. But listen, if it works, I take my hat off to you. But until then, I can't say anything except we don't look like an ambitious club. I would love to be wrong, but I don't feel like I am. But we're going to see what happens. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think Maresca's the right fit? Would you have taken De Zerbi instead? Or is there another manager out there that we should have been looking at that was never even involved in the negotiations? So all the best, guys. Speak soon and let me know what you think.